Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our technical training webinar. This is Lainey Lee, Technical Consulting Engineer, Suprema Headquarters. The session I prepared today is BioStar 2 Essentials. This session is targeted at entry-level users. However, I think that even among these at the advanced level, there may be the cases where they have had difficulties with the basic installation of BioStar 2 or the environment's configuration. In today's session, I'd like to share the information you need to know to install and use BioStar 2. In the BioStar 2 Essentials session, we will guide you through 5 parts to correctly use the BioStar 2 server. In the first part, we will check the basic environment information when installing BioStar 2. The second and third parts are still confusing and often misfollowed by many customers. So, we would like to provide a guide on upgrading and reinstalling BioStar 2. In the fourth part, we'll explain how and what you need to install an HTTPS certificate. Lastly, we would like to guide you on how to report an issue to Suprema so that you can receive support quickly. So, let's start the first part. Check the environment. As you all know, this is not easy to change the server's environment once installed or move the server due to the nature of the security server. So, if you want to use the BioStar 2 server, I'd like to ask you to double check 4 items you see on the screen before installing the product. These are the most basic and most important items. Number 1, check the PC specifications where BioStar 2 and the database will be installed. The PC specifications are related to the server's performance and the operation of BioStar 2 guaranteed by Suprema. Number 2, check if the PC on which BioStar 2 is installed uses a static IP. BioStar 2 and Suprema products communicate based on IP, and in the case of the BioStar 2 server, it is highly recommended always to use static IP. If you do not use static IP, not only BioStar 2's configuration file, but also the HTTPS certificate may become invalid. Number 3, check your database settings. BioStar 2 operates only when it is connected to the database. And custom installation, especially for customers using MS SQL, when creating a database, set the size according to the Suprema's guide to reducing the issues during the usage. Number 4, please check if the port is valid. You must open some ports to use BioStar 2, the database, and the Suprema devices. Occasionally, if the ports to be used by the Suprema product is occupied by another program or blocked by a firewall, the server will not perform the desired operation. Now, check the next page for more details. Let's see how to check the specifications of the BioStar 2 server PC, which was the first item. Detailed specification information is written in the BioStar 2 installation guide and BioStar 2 administrator guide. So please open and check this document before you install BioStar 2. Suprema guides each server PC and client PC specifications. The server PC is where BioStar 2 will be installed, and the client PC is the PC that only operates BioStar 2 by opting it in a web browser. The most important part of this specification is CPU, RAM, and SSD capacity. Suprema's guide is for installing only BioStar 2 and the database on the server PC. If other systems needed to be operated with the PC where BioStar 2 will be installed, please prepare a server with a higher specification than our guide. Next is static IP. You can set static IP as shown on the screen. The third item is database setting. You can find detailed information on this part in the BioStar 2 installation guide. This is a sample of the BioStar 2 installation guide. This document can find PC specifications, upgrade method, installation guides, and precautions. As you can see on the screen, there is a system requirement description and the installing method and installing path, and also include the upgrading path as well. Also, if you're using MS SQL Server and BioStar 2 server in a separate PC, please install the native client on the PC, which is BioStar 2 is installed. The MariaDB part description is for the users who install MariaDB as a custom installation. When you install BioStar 2 with MS SQL, please refer to the page MS SQL Server. There is a description of the size, and also you need to set up 3 databases, AC, TA, and VE. These are for access control and time attendance and video database. And if you use only a single database for BioStar 2, then you will get a trouble for upgrading BioStar 2 over 2.8.16. Suprema understands those new customers to BioStar 2, especially when using MS SQL, experience difficulties setting up. So, as you can see on the screen, a troubleshooting guide for the MS SQL installation environment has been distributed online. This document is not only for troubleshooting, but also for primary reference if you have any questions about how to set it up in the field using MS SQL. Please make sure your database account is DB owner. Database setup is very important. For accurate installation and setup, read the installation guide before installing the server. Confirm you installed 3 databases for AC, TA, and VE. Please note that if you install a single database for all AC, TA, and VE, you cannot upgrade the BioStar 2 to 2.8.16 or above. Confirm you installed a native client for the remote MS SQL database site. Confirm your database account has the proper privileges as per our guide. This is the port confirmation part. BioStar 2 has ports that must be used according to its function. The ports displayed on the screen are default values, and the default ports for HTTPS is 443. And for the database port, in the case of Express installation, MariaDB, 3312 is the default. But when you're using custom installation MS SQL, 1433 is generally used, but other ports also can be used. There are many things to be careful about when setting up the environment, right? In this part, we will learn how to upgrade BioStar 2 correctly. We can dive it into 6 steps for upgrading BioStar 2. Check the current BioStar 2 version and stop all BioStar 2 services and back up the BioStar 2 database, configuration files, encryption key, licenses, and other necessary files. Then download the target BioStar 2 installer. Execute by double-clicking. When running the installer, administrator privileges are required. Finally, log into the BioStar 2 server when the upgrade is complete and check whether the data is maintained well and the server is operating correctly. Please note that you should complete the upgrade in 6 steps like this. But some customers want to add one more step. Guess what? Some people want to add the 7th step to restore the backup database after step 6. But you must not to do this. BioStar 2 is compatible only with the database backed up by the same version. Upgrading is for 6 steps. Please remind. The second thing to note when upgrading BioStar 2 is that you must follow the upgrade path. In particular, you must perform the upgrade several times for customers who have been using the old BioStar 2 version. This table is described in the BioStar 2 installation guide. There is one change in the latest upgrade guide for BioStar 2. For BioStar 2, version 2.5.0, 2.6.0, 2.6.1, 2.6.2, and 2.6.3, it is highly recommended to do an intermediate upgrade to 2.6.4 before upgrading to the latest BioStar 2. Let's review the upgrade process we have just learned through a sample. The third part is reinstalling BioStar 2. If you need to move the BioStar 2 server to a new PC, or if there is a problem with the server you are using due to a sudden issue, reinstallation is required. However, due to the compatibility with the database according to the specification of BioStar 2, if you reinstall it incorrectly, the server may not operate as desired. In particular, since BioStar 2.8.0 database encryption was added, the importance of following the correct reinstallation method is increased. Today, we will see how to reinstall BioStar 2 server through 3 sample cases. The first case is when MariaDB is used for express installation, and there is a backup database and essential configuration files on the site that were used previously. This case proceeds in a total of 6 steps. Check if there are backup database and files. At this time, you must have a setting.conf, system.conf, util folder, or INCI files, in addition to the backup database. Download the BioStar 2 installer. At this time, you must use the same version of BioStar 2 as the version in which the database you have is backed up. For example, if you have a backup database in BioStar 2 version 2.8.5, you must download the BioStar 2 version 2.8.5 installer, not the version 2.8.10 installer. Next, run the downloaded installer to install BioStar 2. When the installation is complete, stop all BioStar 2 services and restore the backup database and configuration files. After that, log into the BioStar 2 with the ID and password of the administrator account you used when using the old backup database and check if the reinstallation was done correctly. The second case is where MS SQL is used as a custom installation and backup database, and essential configuration files used in the field exist. This case proceeds in a total of 7 steps. Check if there are backup database and files. At this time, you must have a setting.conf, system.conf, util folder or encryption key files, and also the backup database. Next, connect to the Database Management Studio and create 3 empty databases. This operation is the same as when installing BioStar 2 newly. Even if the existing database exists, you must create 3 new empty databases. Download the BioStar 2 installer. At this time, you must use the same version of BioStar 2 as the version in which the database you have is backed up. Next, run the downloaded installer to install BioStar 2. When the installation is complete, stop all BioStar 2 services and restore the backup database and configuration files. After that, log in with the ID and password of administrator account you used when using the old backup database and check if the reinstallation was done correctly. Reinstalling is a little more complicated than upgrading, isn't it? Let's review the process we have just learned through a sample. This is a sample video about the environment, that is, custom installation MS SQL. However, when we face customer sites, there are cases where the BioStar 2 backup database files, such as setting conf or system conf and encryption key files, are not always backed up. Unfortunately, in these cases, it is difficult to recover all data through the database entirely. However, Suprema shares a guide for customers who cannot reinstall because there is no database or files based on the fact that user information, credentials, and the latest log exist on the device. It consists of a total of 6 steps, and since there is no backup database, it does not matter which BioStar 2 version you use. Download the BioStar 2 installer. Run this installer to install BioStar 2. Please do not connect your device to the server yet. Go to the BioStar 2 settings server to check user synchronization settings. Change this setting to not used and apply. Connect the device to the BioStar 2 server. Choose the one with the most users and LCD among these devices, and upload the users from the device. The reason for choosing a device with an LCD is that users' name information is only stored on the devices with an LCD. Unfortunately, if only RF devices without LCD were installed at the customer sites, the user's name could not be recovered. Once the user upload from the device are complete, please go to Settings, Server, and change the user sync mode, whatever you want. You can watch the next part with a little more ease. Let's look at installing the HTTPS certificate, which is essential when using BioStar 2 with HTTPS. When using BioStar 2 in an HTTPS environment, we provide a guide to installing an HTTPS certificate. If BioStar 2 is used without HTTPS certificate installation, security may be vulnerable. So, Suprema recommends installing an HTTPS certificate at the customer site. Also, if you do not install the HTTPS certificate, you may encounter operational issues with BioStar 2, as shown on the screen. Number 1. The newly added user does not appear in the user menu. Number 2. The newly added device does not appear in the device menu. Number 3. The newly added user groups does not appear in the user menu. Number 4. You cannot access the BioStar 2 time attendance menu. In addition, if you do not have an HTTPS certificate installed, the issues you will encounter are more varied. So, how can we install an HTTPS certificate? If you use BioStar 2 based on IP, you can install a self-signed certificate by Suprema. Let's check the certificate installation process further in the video. Next, I'd like to share a tiny tip with you. Suppose you have already installed the HTTPS certificate in the BioStar 2, which is confirmed as secure when accessing the BioStar 2 time attendance menu. But you can only see a message maybe displayed on the gray background as shown on the screen. In this case, we recommend you to not worry about and install the HTTPS certificate to the TA port 3002 port once again, close all Chrome, and try connecting again. But what if you are using BioStar 2 as a domain? Unfortunately, The HTTPS certificate provided by Suprema does not currently support installing certificate for domains. In this case, customers must issue a private certificate and apply it to the BioStar 2 server. Regarding this process, Suprema provides an article like the one you see on the screen. Please refer to the article for customers who need to install a private certificate. Before moving on to the next page, shall we read the cautions about installing private certificate in the main text together? Using a private certificate means that the system owner wants to use their own certificate instead of BioStar 2 certificate for HTTPS communication. Therefore, it is necessary for the system owner to manage and refresh a certificate manually following the Suprema's instructions. BioStar 2 does not support the private certificate with the wildcard domain. For example, if you publish the private certificate with the domain name including star, such as star.supremainc.com, you cannot use the private certificate with BioStar 2. Please generate a full domain name and then assign that to BioStar 2 server according to article. The instruction varies depending on your BioStar 2 version. The final part of today is how to report issues. The Suprema team receives issues in various parts of the world and tries to solve your problems as quickly as possible. In particular, we need the support of our partners to resolve the issue on the customer side quickly. Before reporting an issue, please make sure your case is about access control, called AC, or time attendance, called TA. Not sure what access control is? Access control means all BioStar 2 menus, except for time attendance in the BioStar 2 menu. What information should you send if your issue is BioStar 2 AC issue? We divide it into when, what, how, and data. When did the issue arise? For example, you can share the date or date and time. What did you do when the issue occurred? For example, server upgrading or something other words. When was the last time it was reproduced? Second one is what. What are the issue symptoms? Third one is how. How can we reproduce it? We would be appreciated if you share step-by-step scenario, environmental descriptions, and other detailed information. How frequently the issue is reproduced. The fourth one is data. Video or screenshots are recommended. BioStar 2 version is mandatory. Database type MariaDB or MS-SQL. And if you're using the MS-SQL, please share the exact version of your database. Also, please share the entire system log folder. If the log folder is too big to share, please share the latest log files by sorting the log files by the created date. And last, please share the Chrome debugging logs. It means par log or console log. If your issue is a BioStar 2 TA issues, what information should you send? It is similar to the previous one, but let's look at it again. When did the issue arise? What did you do when the issue occurred? When was the last time it was reproduced? Second, what? What are the issue symptoms? What is the expected result? Third, how? How can we reproduce it? How frequently the issue reproduced? The data, video or screenshots. Also, this is very essential for schedule issues. Sometimes we need to check your shift configuration or schedule configuration as well. And BioStar 2 version, database type, and database version, especially for MS-SQL users. And please share TA log folder. TA log folder is under the TA folder, which is in BioStar 2 installed folder. What if your issue is running across AC and TA functions? Please refer to our AC and TA guides and explain the symptoms of the issue, extract how to reproduce it, extract data from each part, and send it to us. The more detailed your explanation and the more data you provide when filling an issue, the faster Suprema can support you. Okay, as time's up, we'd like to wrap up today's webinar here. If you have any questions, please raise the ticket on the Suprema technical support site. All agents will be pleased to support you. This was BioStar 2 Essentials, and I was Lainey Lee. Thank you.